Excellent. Okay, David, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us about what you have been working on.
Cool. Thanks a lot. I'd love to tell you about this. So, we started this in 2018, and that was the time when the Attorney General still had the power to approve the ballot titles, and she would not really approve a ballot title on the redistricting measures in 2018. We sued her over the fair wage, and she approved a ballot title for the redistricting measure at the last minute. So we didn't really have time to get on the ballot in 2018. So I guess they thought we would go away, but we don't ever go away. So as soon as it was over with, we started gearing up to go for 2020. And we took the measure that we had approved in 2018, and we had the opportunity to get more people involved in the drafting. We had people from Governor Schwarzenegger's Institute in Southern California to the Brennan Center at Harvard helped us draft the measure and the ballot title and the popular name. So I think we have a really popular measure from a policy standpoint. I think it is good. If you have an honest Republican and an honest Democrat and an honest independent in the room, they will tell you that this is really the best policy that you can have on this issue. So what we do and kind of what it does is we have a citizens commission. In Arkansas now, the governor, the attorney general, and the secretary of state draw the maps for our Senate and representative districts, and the General Assembly does our 4 congressional districts. This puts this all in the hands of a citizens commission. It consists of 9 members, and you apply to be on the commission. And I'll tell you how you get to be on the commission in a second. But the first thing important is all of the disqualifications for being on the commission. We really wanted to be citizens. We wanted it to be not politicians and not lobbyists. So what we've done is if you have been an elected official from the city level, county level, state level, oops, my phone fell. For the last 5 years, you are prohibited from being on the commission. If you have been appointed to one of those positions in the last 5 years, you cannot be on the commission. If you are a lobbyist or an employee of a lobbyist, you can't be on the commission. If you are an officer of a political party or an employee of a political party, you can't be on the commission. If you've been an employee of a campaign committee, you can't be on the commission or a PAC. Or if you are a spouse or a child or a parent or a sibling of any of those people, you can't be on this commission. So hopefully everybody thought that was a lot of people to cut out. But there are 3 million people in the state of Arkansas. So I think we can find 9 real good qualified people that don't have any of those issues in their past to deal with. So the way we did this is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, as soon as this passes, will appoint 3 former justices to the Supreme Court to kind of be the overseers of the selection process for the commission. We have 3 lanes in the commission. You apply either as an independent, as a Democrat, or a Republican. And once you apply, the commission puts you in one of those 3 categories. And then the 3 judges, they review all of those applications, and they select what they believe are the top 30 applicants from each of the 3 lanes, the independent, the Republican, and the Democrat lane. So you have 30 people in each of those categories. In order to make sure that there wasn't any ringers that got through, we gave the politicians the chance to cull from that thing. So you have 30 people. The governor can take 2 from each category off. If he thinks there's 2 Democrats in the Republican Party, and he can take those off, or if he thinks there's 2 unqualified Democrats, he can take those off. So he has 2 strikes. The majority and the minority leader of the House has 2 strikes, and the pro tem and the minority leader of the Senate have 2 strikes. So after the justices appoint 30 people from each of the 3 categories, then up to 10 of them can be removed by political party leaders. And we didn't define it in the amendment as Democrats and Republicans. We defined it as the party with the most number of representatives and the least number of representatives. And then the third category is the third most popular party or not popular party in Arkansas. So if in the future the Libertarian Party is the number one party in Arkansas, then it'll knock either the Democrats or the Republicans out of that mix. So once those three categories are cut down, let's say everybody uses their strikes to 20 people, then it's purely, learned this from the medical marijuana debacle, we're going to have random selection. So what will happen then is the 20 people that are left in each category, that they just draw lots to make sure that each of the people, the remaining 20 people, the three that you pick are really from random thing. The only caveat is that we made sure that each congressional district had at least one commissioner. So you'll have 9 commissioners. If for some reason, by virtue of the draw, the first congressional district is left out, somebody falls off and they keep drawing until they get someone in that district. And the process is set up in the amendment itself. So then you have your 9 commissioners that are in charge of drawing the maps for both of the state and the Senate and the federal districts. And the way that the process is probably the most transparent process that has exists in the state of Arkansas. Every meeting, every conversation, everything is open and in the public and subject to the Freedom of Information Act. Everything has to be published on the internet, and it has to maintain its own website. All of the maps and the drafts of the maps have to be displayed on the public and access and all of the data as well. So eventually what you're going to get to is the commission is going to draft 3 maps, and then they have to hold a hearing in all 4 of the congressional districts, a public hearing on all of the on the maps, and then the people have a time to have comment and input. And then you get to the point where the commission actually votes on the map. And so that's a 9-member commission. And in order to approve the map, 6 of the commissioners have to vote to approve it. But to make sure that they really work hard to get a fair map, you have to have 2 from each of the categories. So of the 6 people who vote to approve the final map, you're going to have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and 2 independents all agree. So they're going to have to work hard to do that. And that's the good thing about it. So when they, the considerations for the map are really kind of basic. The maps are based upon population. We divide up 75 House districts, 35 Senate districts, and we have 4 congressional districts. The procedures or the criteria are really simple. Number 1, the map, because the Supreme Court of the United States gave us the authority to do this, the maps shall not favor or disfavor any political party. So you cannot have a map drawn in the state of Arkansas that favors either the Republicans or the Democrats or the Green Party or the Libertarians, whatever it may be. That's the number 1 criteria, is that there's no political gerrymandering in Arkansas. You cannot draw a district that's 100% Republican or 80% Republican or Democratic. The other things are really kind of common sense things that you would think that would be involved with for maps. There's no broken lines. You can't have an island. They're supposed to be compact. And one thing that they have kind of done in the past, there's no Fayetteville Finger or Russellville Wrench or any kind of odd looking things in here. That you're not supposed to divide a city or a county or a community if you can help it. One of the things that we put in here that I think is really important is that the map is not supposed to abridge the right to vote based on race or language. We included language in there because, some communities, that's really how they're organized more so than race. They are communities organized on language barriers. And then the final criteria is that the overwhelming thing is that the districts are supposed to promote political competition among all of the parties, so that, that's really how we get the better candidates, and is plenty of competition. So at the end of the day, that's sort of a thumbnail overview of the process that we are going to have, because it's going to pass. We've polled it several times now, and it polls with Democrats 80% plus, with independents in the high 60s, and in the low 60s with Republicans. So, it really is a non-partisan issue. The only complaint that you really get out of the Republicans now about the policy itself is, well, the Democrats have cheated for so long, it's our time to cheat, and that's just doesn't work very well with the public. So that's the policy. Where we are in the process, we despite COVID, we successfully collected over 150,000 signatures from voters in the state of Arkansas. I believe that we probably have over 100,000 registered voters in those petitions. We only needed 89,100 to get on the ballot. The Secretary of State didn't count the signatures to begin with, because he contends that it's the certification that was used when you submit your paid canvasser list to the Secretary of State was defective, in that it didn't specifically say that it certified that the canvassers passed the background check. Now, they all passed background checks. So, I believe the certification does say that they did pass the background checks. But the most important thing is that they all did pass the background check. And so, it's going to be up to the Arkansas Supreme Court to decide whether or not, if that certification was appropriate, or whether or not for some hyper technical reason they're going to disenfranchise 100,000 people in the state of Arkansas. I don't think our court does that. I think that they look at the certification. They look at the purpose of Amendment 7. They look at, there's at least 100,000 signatures of registered voters there. I don't think that they toss the redistricting measure on this little technical issue at all, because if that's at this current time, that is the only thing standing in way of this getting on the ballot. Like I said, we count and verify all of our signatures ourselves, so I know we have enough signatures. I know we have enough signatures of registered voters. I know that all of the other criteria have met. The state Board of Election Commissioners, which are I think 6 Republicans and 1 Democrat, they approved our ballot title. I mean, I think that the Chamber of Commerce and some of its ne'er-do-well people out there probably will sue over the ballot title once we get certified. But we spent a lot of time on the ballot title, and we've written a lot of ballot titles in the past. And I think that it's going to be very tough for anyone to challenge this ballot title, especially given the fact that the Board of Election Commissioners did in fact approve it. So where we are timing wise, we had a hearing last week in front of a master judge, Judge Fogelman from Marion, Blyville, Jonesboro Circuit, was appointed to be the master. He took some testimony. We're running the same lawsuit. Also involves the open primaries, top 4 primaries, open ranked choice voting measure. It has more issues than this, and so they had to have a hearing where they actually count signatures and stuff like that. So we're tied in that litigation. So the final briefs in that case are due on August the 19th. So I suspect that we'll have a decision before Labor Day on whether or not people in Arkansas will get to vote on this measure or not. And again, it's highly popular. The people that have supported us financially so far It's public record. You can go look at the Ethics Commission. They've contributed almost $2 million so far. So we'll have enough money to run a legitimate campaign.
So David.
Yes, ma'am.
We've got a few questions that we might want to get answered real quick, if you're okay with that. So how's the commission chair picked, according to Lynn?
The commissioners themselves pick their chair.
Okay, that's quick and easy. Ethan asked, how long do members of the commission serve for?
10 years. They serve until their next decennial redistricting. So their term really is 10 years. They can resign at any time. So, but you know, if you look at California, they pretty much ran out their 10 years because they went ahead and did, you know, educational purposes and continued to meet for the entire 10 years. But after the first year, they're pretty much done.
Okay. So, and then Jan asked, what is the ballot title?
The ballot title is 900 words long. So if you can go, there's a website called ArkansasVotersFirst.org, I believe.
It's ARVotersFirst.org.
Okay. It's the text of the amendment is down at the bottom of it, so you can read that. The ballot title is really a summary of that, because that's all you're really going to see. The name of the amendment is an amendment for the Arkansas Citizens Redistricting Commission. It's real simple. That's the popular name.
Okay. And then how long do you anticipate the entire process to take from beginning to end?
There are specific deadlines in there. So the commission is required, I believe, to be completed by this time, since it's kind of a short time frame, by October. I think the final maps the commission is to be appointed by May, and they're done by October.
Wow, okay, that sounds fast. And is there a number assigned yet? I guess they has to be.
Once it'll be certified, you know, the General Assembly threw 3 out, so they're 1, 2, and 3. Then they rank them through amendments, and so I anticipate it's going to be issue number 4.
Okay, but we won't know that till September?
Yeah, probably September. Well, actually, you're going to know it August the 20th, because the Secretary of State has to certify these amendments to the County Board of Election Commissions on the 20th. So they'll assign the numbers then. Now, we won't know until September. We'll know our vote counts on it, but we'll know the number on the 20th.
Okay, sounds cool. And so it is almost time for us to turn to our social media tips portion, but of critical, you know, every single person on this call wants to know, what can we do, if anything, to make sure it makes it onto the ballot? And then what can we be planning to do to make sure it passes?
Well, I think the best thing that you can do is, I was listening to the beginning thing here, and I see Miss Susan, she's in my screen here. You know, this absentee ballot thing is going to be the most important thing in Arkansas. So I anticipate that our campaign committee will assist and help in making sure that everybody that wants a ballot has the opportunity to get a ballot, and has the opportunity to make sure that ballot is returned.
Okay, so keep up with our make sure people vote work.
That's it.
Everybody, all of you writing postcards and writing letters and making calls and making texts, which is almost probably everybody on this call. Keep it up. Well done. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Oh, Jan is also asking, why did you decide to go this way instead of having a computer draw districts?
I like people. I think you have to have a human touch. I mean, there are everybody else has a commission. There's computers, but they're just numbers. You've got to have human interaction and around the edges and stuff. I just don't think a computer could draw it. And then you got to have a human that programs the computer anyhow. So.
Okay. And does everyone follow AR Voters First on Facebook, Twitter? Are y'all on Instagram? Do you know?
It's over my head.
Right. But just make sure. What,
Kristen? There is an Instagram. Yes.
There is? Okay. Oh, you just muted. Did I mute or did you mute?
Maybe I hit it. No, we've shared some of the content on our Indivisible site.
Okay. So we just
Instagram.
want to make sure that folks know which ones to share, because as it makes it onto the ballot, I'm sure that the AR Voters First social media team is going to be put all sorts of stuff out there that we can share with our voter network. So
Oh, they're very active.
yeah. Okay.
And just one more thing, everybody needs to think about what we're going to do for 2022, because now's the time to start planning.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because that's what we're, just the work we're doing to try to help flip, some state house districts, but also, we had someone reach out to us about the city council, the Little Rock, the folks running for city council this round. We need to be involved in supporting that too, because these are the folks who need our support to work up through the system so that we actually have more people to vote for, as well as, I have no idea what will be ballot measures you're already thinking of for 2022, but I'm sure you'll share it.
I welcome your input. That's my point.
Okay, got it. Okay, David, thank you so much for joining us. And I guess we will go back to my slide presentation, if I can figure out how to renegotiate my screens here. And of course, not that there's actually that much information on there, but here, it's all pretty. I did the work, so I want, to get credit for it, I guess. Is James on? Is James unmuted?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go. Okay, so James has done a lot of support for our work here. He's done a lot of great graphic design work, as well as helped our social media teams. So always appreciative of you stepping up. And I also, of course, love to get to see you regularly, because your hair always has some new fun style. So awesome. Go, James.
Gotta change things up. First, thank you so much for letting me join y'all. Indivisible is a great organization. I'm proud to be a part of it. As I said, my name is James Rector. I am the social media strategist at Stoneward Advertising. I've also worked on I worked with the Human Rights Campaign before moving back into my second love of marketing world. But I've worked on multiple campaigns and ballot issues and things. So, the reason I love social media so much is because it's consistently changing. And I think it's really changed the way that we are now communicating, especially in election seasons. So, with that being said, if anybody's been following along in the news this week, the Biden campaign did announce they're putting about $280 million into ads. About $220 of that is going to TV advertising, but about $60 million is going into digital in the 15 states that they're targeting. So really, we've seen this kind of flip, especially with a lot of people cord cutting, how we need to work into the digital world when it comes to campaigns or issues. Because it depends on the generation. Certain generations, yes, you do want the TV advertising to get your message out, but digital has become more and more conveniently consumed by every generation. So that's something important to think about. Also, when you look at that, I know the Trump campaign's announced about 145 million they're putting into TV ads. They did not announce, or they have not disclosed how much they're putting into digital ads. So I don't see it being more than that 60 million. So just something to think about. So when I first talked to Lori about this, we talked about collecting some questions from the membership, and I would go through those. And then I thought it would be a fun idea when we were talking the other day, just to come up with 3 different tips that we can use as far as between now and election day, how we can help improve some of this visibility with different campaigns. So I want to dive into some of the questions we got. They're all really great. The first question I had was, said, help me understand why sometimes posts don't seem shareable on Facebook. What's happening there? Great question. It happens a lot. I go to share things and I can't. There's 2 different things that are happening. One is that the person sharing it probably has it set, has their settings just to friends only, so it's not public. You can easily change that when you're going to create a post. There's an option, a drop down to make it public or just friends only. So that's probably one of the reasons you're not able to share. That person probably has some settings that are locked down. The other thing is, if you're looking at it from groups, a lot of Facebook groups are private, so you can't share information out that way. One, of course, I'm always looking to ways to hack this. So I tried to do some research, and apparently, and I've never tried this, but if you click on the timestamp, like say a post was posted 2 hours ago, if you click on that little timestamp right underneath, right at the very top, you should be able to click on that and go directly to the post and share the actual link from that. I haven't tried that. I don't know if that works because of the privacy settings, but it's something for y'all to think about. If somebody wants to try that and let me know how it works, I'm going to try it too. But some good life hacks. So that's one reason you aren't being able to share posts. So if there is something that you have on your mind and want to get out there, make sure it's public. That way people can share it from the onset. You can also go back and change settings on a post. So the second question I got, what are Facebook watch parties? Are they something to use to promote candidate or voting events? Watch parties are really great because you can actually set, it's basically like inviting a group of your friends, like we're doing right now, to watch a live feed that they can comment on. So that's definitely something to look at. It's also something that if it's an event that was already broadcast live and you want to get more traction on it, repost it as a video and invite people to a watch party. So say an event happened on Friday and you want to get a bunch of people together, watch it next Friday, perfect way to do that. The other great thing that we've seen is with Facebook Messenger. There's been an amazing amount of new tools and functions that have happened in social media since COVID has started. One of them is within Messenger, how you can create rooms where you can invite multiple people to talk. You can actually now broadcast those as live feeds. So if you and 3 of your friends want to get together and talk politics and broadcast it live, that might be a fun idea. One, it's a great way to get the message out that you want personally. And then also it's a great way for people to interact. Social media is what it is, social. So great question there. The third question we received was, what's the best way to create groups on Facebook or Twitter or Insta to share or boost posts? And so these posts can be shared from personal pages. Well, like I said, the sharing part comes back to whether it's public versus just friends or a private group. But I would say groups are a great way to go. I know particularly a lot of businesses, because of the way the algorithm works, if a business or a group shares a post, about 10% of your audience sees it. There's some people who argue that about 2 to 3% actually see a post when it goes out. So that's why it's really important for us personally to go out and share these from a page. But with that being said, groups are really great because you can people within your group can create settings to where it pops up at the top of their timeline whenever you go into the app or whenever you go on the desktop version. So it's a great way to get information out. The only limit there is that you're getting it out to the people that are in the group only. So it's kind of like like-minded people talking to like-minded people. If you're trying to get your message beyond that, that's where the sharing would come into play. But it would have to be a public group. So those were 3 really great questions, and inspired me to think a little deeper about some of my top tips as far as between now and the election, how we can get the word out about different candidates or issues that we're working on. And my top tip is always to gamify the algorithm. I mentioned that earlier, but you only see a certain amount of ads or posts from pages, but you also, the way the algorithm works, it only shows you really the people that you're interacting with most on the platform. So it's kind of one of those cases, where you're made up of the top people that you hang out with. Well, that's kind of like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. That's how they work. It's going to show you that type of information. So this is probably an unpopular thing, and I know I see it a lot, but don't delete the idiots. Just don't engage with them. But if you don't delete them, they probably might see your post. I know that, like I said, that's probably a really unpopular opinion. I have actually gotten rid of some people because of their political views. But then when you really think about it, there might be the chance that they'll see one of your posts. Not that it's going to change their mind, but at least you're almost putting your thoughts out into the world. The other thing with that is, and I talked about engaging, you only really see the people that you engage with the most. So if you want your posts to get out to more people, start going engaging on their posts. Start going to their comments, start liking their stuff, start interacting with them. Don't get any fights with the idiots, because the idiots are there. But with the people that you know that are kind of on the fence or might need to hear information, don't go in there in their comment section and start, dropping all these truths, because that might agitate them. But if you go and say, oh my gosh, that's such a great picture of your cat, or I love your houseplant, at least the next time it pops up in the algorithm, they might actually see your post where you're going, here's actually what's happening and what's going on in the world. So just think of it in that way. Start getting out and engaging more with people. Social media, be social. My second top tip is, and this is,
James,
yeah.
let me interrupt you. So I'm thinking about Indivisible's page. So should our Facebook admins be actually commenting on other people's posts as Indivisible to try to make sure that Indivisible pops up, our post pops up in their feed more?
Yeah, it works that way too.
Okay.
So not only does it work on a personal level, but it works on, like a business page or an organization page level. If you're going interacting, you're going to start showing up in people's news feeds more. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. The second thing, and I think this goes without saying, I feel like everyone on this call probably knows this one, but check the facts. Before you share that news article, make sure it's from a credible source. Check the timestamp. I don't know how many times I see people blow up and explode about something that was posted 4 years ago. And then it creates this tidal wave of people just going off on this old news that is not relevant anymore. It might've been at that time, but yeah, check the facts as well. And then the other thing that I have written down here is kind of go with that gut feeling. If something doesn't feel right, there's this incredible website. It's called Google. And if you go and type in stuff, you can find out more information. So, definitely if somebody says the sky's falling, you might Google it, or you might look outside yourself first before you go spreading it on social media. So that's a very important tip. I know it should go without saying, but it's very important to the process. The other thing that is super important is share directly from the candidates or the organization page. So if Indivisible puts something out, make sure you're sharing that. And then the other thing that goes with that is don't just share it. Don't just hit retweet. Don't just, you should add your perspective to what that information is. And, that can be through making it personal, telling your side of the story. Why does this impact me? And that really comes down to I stress the make it personal. Don't try and tell other people's stories. Yes, you might know a friend who went through that situation. But I think it's all in the way that you put it. If it personally impacts you, that's going to be a much stronger message than I know a person who knows a person. So those are my top 3 tips. My final tip that I have is to, and this is kind of the bonus, is just to think outside of the box. Typically when we talk about this, we think Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm really happy to see that TikTok initiative, I don't expect everyone on this call to go jump on and TikTok and try to follow along with the latest dance craze. But jump on it and play around in it and see what's happening. You might get a really interesting perspective on the younger generation, but there is a lot of people who are using it to put out news and information. And you can actually share videos from TikTok to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. So something to think about as well. And think about how you're using it. Instagram has added a lot of new tools, especially with the stories. You can actually go live on Instagram too. So if there's an issue that you're really wanting to push out and talk about, if you feel comfortable, jump behind that camera and talk about it. We are seeing, video content performs, in my industry, video content performs well. When I jump on Instagram, I go through the feed just because I know I should, but majority of people are skipping the feed now and they're going straight into stories. So they want to see, you know, like the day-to-day actions that people are taking or what they're interested in. So that may be an interesting spin on, rather than writing a tweet or a Facebook post or something, it's just to jump on and talk about, you know, what issue is important to you, or maybe if something's bothering you right now. Make sure, you know, that's shareable, and you can get your news out that way as well. So I think we've taken a really strong tool to another level when we almost become the news broadcaster, because we're talking, you know, from our perspective, pushing out our issues, and it's personal. You know, I'm going to trust something my friend says over I'm maybe reading an article. That's just, I mean, that's logic. That's the way a lot of people go. But it's just, you know, it's kind of that word of mouth mentality. So, you know, get your facts straight and put them out there, and have fun with it. And you know, the other interesting thing is beyond those 3 platforms. You know, I mentioned TikTok, but I don't know who's big into Pinterest, but you can, you know, make a Pinterest board of all your political views, because people will pick up on that, especially when they start Googling this stuff. If you have images attached to it, that's something that they can go and share or pin on their boards as well. And then, you know, it really comes down to, like I said, sharing the information that's put out there, but just make sure that you're adding your perspective and your personal story to it. So,
James, there's Julie has a question. Can you talk about using Instagram or TikTok and the different groups each platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, reaches? So I guess, you know, how each of them really have kind of a unique audience.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely think that your millennial generation is on Instagram, but I think it's grown as far as the users, especially we've seen during COVID how some of these platforms have expanded their generation age. TikTok does lend towards the Gen Z, the younger generation, but we've seen also a lot of new downloads of that app and the people that are using it as well. And like I said, you know, usually when I say TikTok, a lot of people think about like dance videos or hashtag challenges or something like that. I've seen a lot of really good people go in and use it as like a news source, because I mean, you're just giving small bites of information, excuse me. But yeah, really think about how you can expand that, because a lot of this stuff you can cross promote on different channels. So.
Okay. I think of Sarah Cooper when I think of TikTok. Yeah, it's actually worth it if you have at least a friend. Like, I don't encourage anyone to go sign up for TikTok if you're not on because of the security concerns. But if you have like a teenager around somewhere with TikTok, go look up Sarah Cooper. Like, now you need to. It's like good for your mental health. Okay, does anyone else have any more questions? James, while you're on, I know Terry wanted to talk a little bit about some of our letter to the editor work, and we thought we could get a little bit of your feedback on kind of adapting some of the information in these letters for messaging on our social media platforms. That's kind of a bridge we haven't ever been able to quite get over. So if you have any other questions, be sure to drop them in the chat, but I am going to now go to share screen. I've got so many things open, it can be kind of confusing. Okay, so can y'all see this now? Should be now sharing the presentation again. Give me a thumbs up if you see it. Good deal. Okay, so Terry, take it away, our Writers Brigade leader. Can we hear Terry? She might need to be unmuted. Who's got the unmute button?
James or somebody needs to do it.
There you go. We can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me? Cool, cool beans. Okay, hey, everybody, I'm Terry. Good to see you. James, please hang on because I know there's going to be more questions for you. I wanted to just real quickly, give a little mini history of Writers Brigade. Raise your hand if you've been in some capacity involved with Writers Brigade over the last couple of years. Lots of people have. For those who have not, the idea in 2017 was kind of like what James says, we need to get the facts out. And one of the facts that people seem to forget about or is how our members of Congress voted, because they vote all the time. So we began keeping a spreadsheet, which I won't bore you with that, but it's got 15 tabs and the ways that our members of Congress have voted in the last few years. And then we turned that information into issues briefs. So we culled the important information off of several of those tabs. And I think we have, Kat, how many? 10 issues briefs now? But we really need to get this message out to just the average folks as to how our members of Congress have voted and maybe why you don't want to vote for them this time, the next time around. So we have folks that have taken this and culled this information and put it into a letter to the editor, which, okay, I'm an old baby boomer and I know that letters to the editor don't, mean much to folks of younger generation. So what we need volunteers to take these letters that basically we've done the homework, we've done the research, we've put taken that research and put it into a couple of paragraphs that are easy to understand, like taking just little factoids out. Oh, good, thank you. Lori's pulling one up. So this is a letter that's ready to go, that's been drafted, and we need a volunteer to say, hey, I'll take that, put a little bit of my own personal self in it, and put my name on it. It's kind of where the rubber meets the road. We all, it's like we can all say, that we're progressive, but when we put our name on it, it's a lot more meaningful. So we have 3 actual COVID letters right now. And if you can see on the bottom there, we are looking for someone to submit it. And before I go further, can I get a witness? Because we did this in 2018 and Barbara jumped on grabbing a letter that somebody else wrote. And Barbara, can somebody unmute Barbara real quick? Brainy, it says on the thing.
Barbara, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I think I just did. Did I?
Yep.
Okay, all righty. Well, yes, I have put my name on a letter that I did not write. And at first it felt kind of weird to me, but I started thinking that it's no different from saying to someone, I feel very passionate about this subject, but I'm not a good writer. Would you write a letter that puts it very well so I can send it to the newspaper? And that's exactly what they did. They wrote a wonderful letter that made me look so smart. And I signed my name and I sent it in. I tweaked it, and put my own, tried to put a personal spin, but sent it in, got all kinds of calls from my friends going, my gosh, I didn't know you were so smart. But the point is, it got in the paper and a lot of people saw it, and I don't feel weird about it. It was a really good thing to do, and I'm going to do it again.
All right, because we need volunteers right now. And so then the other thing I want to say is we've called this the Writers Brigade, but really it's been more of a squad and at times just a lone warrior. And many thanks to Kat for holding it up for periods of time. So I guess what I want to do is let me see. What else do I need to say, Lori? Anyway, we've got the stuff. We've done the homework. We need a volunteer to put their name on this one. And then we need probably help from James or somebody else who's really good at taking a piece of text and putting it into a Twitter. I have no clue, and into an Instagram post. So we need to volunteer for each of those things. We need to volunteer to submit it, the letter to the editor. And if you happen to live in Saline or Faulkner County, we've got the information. And on one of those slides, Lori's got my email, and you can email me. We've got the link for putting a letter to the editor in the Democrat Gazette and whatever the Saline paper is called. And then, you know, a volunteer to tweet each one of those. And then I'm thinking, and James, you can tell me, you know, I know not much about Twitter, but what if we had one volunteer to say, okay, I'll tweet this one, and then 10 volunteers to say, I'll retweet it. I guess I'm just wanting it to amplify, amplify, amplify. So, so let me see. So first, who's going to jump on and volunteer? Okay, Julie is going to send a letter. Do you want to do the letter to the editor, Julie? Can you make sure that you put your email into somewhere into this chat box? And I think James or Kristen, are you guys saving those? Okay, all right, Anna's gonna post it on Facebook. All right, so that's letter one. All right, we got letter one, we've got a writer for the Faulkner County. Now we need somebody who will send in the letter to the editor for the second one.
Okay, so Brain, am I saying your name right? I don't know where you are in here, so I want to make sure I'm saying that right.
That's Barbara Rainey.
Oh, Barbara. I'm clearly not saying it right.
Yeah.
Barbara, so you want to know, let me see. So some of these are, I was going to try to share the links while we're on here. Let's see here, make sure that they're not viewer. Okay, so here is the economic, or Terry, can you share any as well? Here's the economic fallout one, so you should be able to go read that one. And here I'm going to also share the poverty one.
Yeah, and Julie just asked that if she could do the third one, but there's no reason that somebody can't also take that one, and because she's putting it in the log cabin, I guess, whatever the Faulkner County one is, we need somebody who can also put that into, you know, you can tweak it with your own words and then put it into the Democrat Gazette as well. So it's like 1,000 cuts, you know, 1,000 cuts to get French fired. And I do want to say, while you're putting your name in, I guess just put it in the chat box. Is there a way we can save the chat box? Okay.
Yes, there is an option. If you click the 3 dots, hang on, I'm typing the last one in there. If you click the 3 dots, you can say save chat. When you go to your chat box, the 3 dots where it says to everyone, click the down menu and it'll say save chat, and you'll save it as a text file for you afterwards. So you'll still have those links available.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah. Yes, it could go into both newspapers. And again, it's from you. You're taking these facts that and if you need the background, we can send you a chunk out of that beautiful spreadsheet, or the issues brief that already has like a whole list of resources and references. But basically, we just need to keep our voices moving. So I am just so like not good at is somebody keeping track of the chat and who is putting their name on which one?
Okay, I'll take number 2, letter number 2.
Okay, Julie said number 3, and that's for Faulkner County. And who do we have for number 1?
Anyone?
Look back on the chat.
Oh, let me see.
And then the other piece of it that Terry is needing help with, and James, if you have any thoughts on how to do this, but how to take this information and say, you know, Hill has voted against our health care a million times. This is going to come up again at some point before the election. You know, how can we, you know, in a structured way, get, you know, and give this to our members in a way that they can tweet it and post it on Facebook. Because just like putting, oh, it's on Google, go get it, you know, that doesn't make it usable and grabbable. Thoughts, anyone? What would make it easy for y'all to be able to, and we actually kind of have the same issue with our absentee balloting team. We also have a lot of messages that we've collected and shaped with that, with voter education, but trying, and you know, the official accounts can send that out, but it's trying to share that with members in a way that they also put their spin on that message. And so the, you know, the community gets a sense of like, okay, there's a lot of voters who are interested in this issue. So just trying to figure out how to give it to y'all in a way, some of this content in a way that y'all can take it and share it on your social media accounts. What would be a good way to do that?
Personal, you haven't muted me yet, so I'll just say something. I always do better if I get all my information in an email. If it's an email, I can go back and look at it, and then I'll tweak it, and then I'll share it. I share a lot on Facebook, so I'll share it.
So
Okay,
like,
and I'm seeing a message from Vicky and from Charlie about changing them up a little bit, you know, using this information. So Vicky, could you be the person who signs up to do the Twitter and then also make it ResistBot, put it on ResistBot as well?
let's
and-
unmute Vicky so she can respond. Where's Vicky?
Vicky Steffens. Hey, Vicky. Okay. So that's a great, see, I don't even know anything
Vicky,
about.
do you want to, if you want to speak, you just have, yeah, there you go.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I do a fair number of ResistBot letters, and some of the responses are so bad that I almost want to publicize them. You know, they're just so, they don't address the question, or they spout some kind of nonsense back, and you could almost share those. Some of them are bad enough. I don't know if I've kept enough of them to be good, but I'm so appalled that Tom Cotton is so likely to get reelected.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yes, I think all of us are, and I'm not sure if we're going to have anybody else on the ballot to really put a lot of energy, which is horrifying to think about. But yeah, so, and I do want to say, and I know you've heard Lori say that Indivisible is nonpartisan, Indivisible, nonpartisan. These letters, these tweets are coming from you, not from Indivisible. Everybody understands that, right?
Right.
This is you. We're helping you with the homework. We're providing you with factoids that, yeah. Mary is working on some other letters. We've got at least one social justice and one, you know, the things that Hill has done, that the financial economic stuff where he's, you know, where the rich get richer. We have, Mary's got a letter on that. We have also a letter on, let's see, we have two about that, and we've even got one on the environment. So we're going to keep going with this, and I'm just trying to figure out how to just to turn our little squad into literally a brigade to just keep fact checking him and keep saying, oh yeah, well, here's how you voted, and here's how you voted, and that's a fact that can't be disputed.
Okay, keep the pressure on, because this is our means for doing so. It is 4:07. Folks are needing to start dropping off. Thanks for hanging on with us. If you have any other questions on that or want to get more involved, we've got a lot of folks here signed up for things today. Thank you. In fact, Charlie said he's going to tweet out Terry's editorial and tag promote Senator Elliott. Yes, that's exactly the concept, this kind of amplification of these messages to remind folks what French Hill has done and what Joyce Elliott stands for, even though Indivisible can't endorse. This is free. There's no political spending here that we have to worry about. It's just content that we have pulled together for free. Go use it. Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, and can you put my email back up there? Because it would be great if you're a person who's good at like organizing, like the call tree or something like that. James, if you have any suggestions for that, that would be wonderful. Just because I think a lot of folks do want to put their name out there, and they do want, even though they have a crazy racist cousin, they do want to say, hey, I'm standing up for this. So anyway.
And speaking of crazy racist cousins, we also have our closing our monthly meetings with a moment of kind of racial justice, kind of holding ourselves accountable for doing the daily work to kind of fight, to dismantle white supremacy culture in our communities, in our families, in our networks. It is 4:09. We kind of pressed that to the very end. Kelly was our racial justice coordinator, was not going to be able to hop on, just found that out. I just want to check if she did hop on. Kelly, I haven't seen you. Have you, Kelly? I wanted to give her a chance. No. Okay. So she did not hop on, but I do feel like we just do need to acknowledge that even if we ran out of time it feels wrong a little bit to run out of time on this. So I think what we need to do is commit to spending more time on it next month. And if you go to our webpage, IndivisibleLRCA.org, we have here the Black Lives Matter. And Kelly and Ashari are working on updating this for August. So it has the content of what we can be doing if we need ideas to listen, learn, and act. And so just different videos or readings, music that we can listen to, things that you can share with your fellows. I mean, a lot of y'all don't need these ideas, but sometimes it is helpful. And then we have, of course, calls to action that you can make as well to our elected officials. So